Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the UCM podcast. I'm your host for today, Dr. Bill Davis, and I'm excited to have one of my favorite people around in upper cervical chiropractic, and that's Dr. Mercedes Cook. Welcome back to the podcast, Dr. Cook.
Thank you so much, Dr. Davis. It's good to be back on after a couple years. So I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, it is. And a lot has happened in the last few years for you. I'm excited to talk with you about everything that's going on with the practice and in life and just everything. And so, for anybody out there who doesn't know you, Dr. Mercedes, please share a little bit about yourself with our audience.
Yeah, sure. So I am an upper cervical chiropractor practicing Blair in San Diego. I graduated from Life University in 2017, and I'm originally from Ohio. So I had moved home after and was an associate back in my hometown for about a year and a half. And then I got the opportunity to buy a well-established, successful practice in San Diego from another Blair upper cervical chiropractor. And so I jumped on the opportunity. I actually wasn't even practicing Blair at the time. I was practicing knee chest, but I had started the upper cervical diplomate program. I was aware of all the upper cervical techniques, and Blair was actually kind of the next thing that I wanted to transition to. So it was just kind of the perfect opportunity. Me and my husband wanted to move to Southern California, where he's from. And yeah, we were looking to get out of Ohio. And so this was such a great opportunity, and highly recommend for anybody who is starting out. I did love being an associate because it taught me so much as far as like the clinical side of things. And so that part was amazing. So when I did buy a practice and go out on my own, I felt comfortable with like the clinical side. And then I just needed to like learn more about the business stuff. And so when I came out to San Diego in 2019, I became an associate for the practice for about 4 months and learned as much as I could, especially about the Blair technique and then also about the business side of things. And then the other owner, she left in February 2020, which was, interesting time to buy practice. And then COVID happened like 6 weeks later. Don't need to go into that too much, but it was definitely interesting being in California and being in COVID and all of that. But ultimately the business was already doing amazing, had a ton of patients over the years. And so thankfully things continued on and went really well despite a lot of challenges the first year. But I do feel like that first year of craziness and stress really did set me up to be a lot more resilient as a business owner. So there were definitely some positives, I guess, of that time for sure. But yeah, now we've been in San Diego. This February will be 6 years of owning Upper Cervical Chiropractic San Diego here. And yeah, it's been amazing. There's been kind of some different years. I've had 2 different associates during different times of the last couple years. I also had a baby. I had my son Conrad a year and a half ago. And I was super blessed to have a great associate at the time who was able to cover my practice. And I got to take almost 4 months off. And then when I came back into practice, my associate and his family, they moved to the East Coast. So I had to kind of go back into practice full time. Again, not really what I was wanting to do or planning to do. However, we were kind of chatting earlier. It's just interesting how life happens. Like everything happens for good, truly. Like my associate did end up leaving. However, we turned that room into a nursery for my son. I hired a nanny. I brought my son to work every day. It just made the transition from, having a baby, being postpartum. It's really interesting, and maybe some other moms can relate, but having a child, like while you're, being a business owner and being in practice and taking care of patients, it's a lot. Like after I first had my son, those first couple of weeks, I was like, wow, how am I ever going to go back to work? Like, I just want to stay home with my baby. And I'm sure lots of mothers feel that way. And this is my first child, so I had no idea how I was going to feel. However, after the first couple of months, I was like, okay, cool. I'm starting to get the rhythm. I feel like I'm getting this mom thing down. I want to get back into my practice. I want to practice, not a lot, but I want to like start getting back into the swing of things. And so you kind of get into that. And now, for the last year, I've been back at like kind of full capacity for me at the practice, but just kind of finding what works for me through motherhood. It's definitely been a journey, but it kind of showed me that, especially if you are a female business owner with your own practice, like you really can have both. You just have to figure out what that looks like for you and how you want to make it work. And a lot of times you have no idea what you're doing, but you just make it up as you go, and it seems to work out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, over the years, I've had quite a few female chiropractors on the podcast who've gone through what you're talking about, and like kind of figuring out, because there's so many different ways to kind of handle what are the options when you have a baby, right? Like it's you have a practice and then you have a baby, and so now it's like, okay, what do we do, right? There's a lot of different options in that circumstance, but obviously you found one of the ways that we've seen it be successful is literally bring the baby with you to the practice, right? And have that be have that be part of a new rhythm of the practice, right? That there's a baby there, and a lot of times patients just love it, actually, and they're excited about having the baby in the practice, right?
I was actually kind of nervous because I do not, focusing on upper cervical, my practice. Yes, I see some families, but a lot of my patient base is like working professionals. I don't see a lot of kids. And so like my practice is not a pediatric, there's
Right.
not a bunch of kids in my practice. So I was like, how is this going to go with having a baby? This is kind of a
Yeah.
foreign thing to my office, but I was so thrilled and shocked with all. I mean, I think building good relationships with my patients, naturally they wanted to see my child. They were like
Sure.
obsessed with my child as well. And so
Right.
they loved that he was there. They loved that they got to kind of watch him grow like the first year. And it was really sweet. And again, before becoming a mom, you don't realize how much people like they love babies. They are
Mm.
obsessed with babies.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I was pleasantly surprised with how like supportive and amazing my patients were, even my patients who weren't parents, and the ones that were, but their kids were a lot older, like they absolutely loved having him in there. So
Yeah.
it was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is like it shows your patients that you're a person, right? It's like, yeah, this is real life. Like I'm trying to figure this out, right? We just had a baby, now we're figuring it out, and like it gives you a different kind of connection, I think, with patients when they can kind of see a different side of you, or a different different, more well-rounded part of who you are and your personality, when you kind of, you're basically allowing them to kind of step into your family life, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah. It was
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah. So, all right. So the last couple of years here, obviously, been working on figuring out this whole life of being a mom and being a practice owner, and I know also with the Blair organization, as you guys you know been working on some things internally that I was excited about and wanted to have you on the podcast to talk about. And so let's talk about the Blair residency program, right?
Yeah.
It's a new program that has been rolled out recently, and so yeah, tell people about it.
Yeah. So within the Blair Chiropractic Society, one thing that it's been kind of in the works for a while, but we finally were able to roll it out. We kind of just started at the end of last year. So really it's kind of in the works right now. We have a couple doctors who are already like on their way and doing it. But basically what we created is a pre and postgraduate residency program. So this is good for three types of people. One, if you are a chiropractic student in your last year of school, and you're going into an internship, this would be a good opportunity for you. Also, if you've already graduated and you want to practice Blair, then this is also a great opportunity if you've already graduated. And then if you're a seasoned doctor or someone who does a different technique, but you want to start practicing Blair, this is also great for you because the purpose of the program is one, you're going to be going into a qualified host office, meaning our organization has like qualified them, like they are equipped for coaching and training and teaching. Like we want to make sure you're going to have a good experience at this office, and you're actually learning the Blair upper cervical work. So we've already pre-qualified these host offices, and then we're matching them depending on like location and what they're looking for. And then we have this 12-week guideline, 90-day protocol that we're kind of taking the residents through. That way they feel really supported, like with really understanding the Blair work, how to do it, how to see patients properly. And they just get to be in an office where like the clinical side and the technique side is like they're well supported. And so the purpose is that 90-day protocol. And then of course we would love it to transition and use it as an opportunity of like, if you're a good fit for that office, maybe you will stay and be an associate. Or some people might utilize it as kind of a 90-day, they'll kind of decide with the office of they're doing this residency program so they can get up to speed and know as much as they can so they can go start their own practice. It'll kind of vary from student or doc, but that was the intention of the program. It's just having some guidelines, having things laid out. Because I think one thing that we see is, if I hire an associate and another Blair office hires an associate, not everybody necessarily has a protocol or like a proper onboarding process set up for them. So you may bring them in, things are kind of getting overlooked. And we don't want that. We just want whoever wants to practice Blair upper cervical, like they get off to a right start. They feel like they have all the tools and things that they need to know. So that way they feel supported in practice.
That's great. So
Yeah.
let me ask him some questions about this. Okay, so the residency program. So how does it work as far as like if it is say a student that's coming, and they're in their last year of school, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
could this be part or could this be a preceptor ship for them? Would
Yep.
this be able to be used in that capacity?
Yeah, it can be used in that capacity. A lot of times when you're in those final months of school and you are, you have like certain guidelines and things you have to hit for the school.
Right.
So you would just kind of simultaneously be like getting your numbers and doing everything for your internship that you need for school. And then you also could be doing the Blair and going through the Blair protocol at the same time. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay. So this would be, if someone needs a place to do their preceptorship, they
yeah,
could do it through the Blair residency program.
correct. Yes.
Cool. And then like you said too, it's kind of a trial, right? For both
Mhm.
the student or doctor who's going through it and then also the office, right? Is the because the idea is some of these residency programs would turn into associate positions. Is that correct?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And I
So then
think
that's another part of it is if you're looking for an associate position, this may be a good kind of foot in the door with a practice to get yourself, up to speed as far as training, and then also be able to, really get to know if it's a good fit for you and them.
yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what we're hoping. Dr. Davis, you've had associates, I've had associates. The one thing, like you can do as much due diligence with your hiring process, but really until someone is in your practice for a couple months, I feel like that's a good time where you kind of understand like, oh yeah, this is really a good fit, or okay, maybe this is not a good fit. So I feel like this is kind of a nice 90-day program where we can kind of decide, how are things going? Would you want to continue with this office? And we're trying to, so with our executive director Tracy Jones, like she's the one kind of, students can apply and or postgraduates can apply. She's the one getting all those applications, and then she's kind of looking through what's on their application and then looking through the host options that we have to try to pair people up properly. So, because again, some offices may not want someone who is only going to be there for, or the intention is only 90 days and then leave, where some offices might be totally fine with that. They're happy to be, like a teacher and teach them for 3 months and kind of let them go and start their own thing. So we're trying to do the best we can as far as like pairing people with the right fit.
Right. Right. Yeah. Cause there is so many different, uh, routes, right. That people can take when it comes to chiropractic practice, just in general. And yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
so this is a nice trial to see like, hey, would this be a time where, you know, you realize, hey, you know what, I think I could go do my own practice, right? Like if you get if you get this initial training and you have the right kind of personality and the right kind of situation, maybe that's all you need to go out on your own. Or it's a situation where it's like, you know what, I need more. I need to do in a short-term associate position. Or
Yep,
maybe I could see myself being a long-term associate, right? Like those are the three main paths that you can take as a chiropractor. And so this kind
yeah,
of is a good, it gives you some good foundational training, but at the same time, it kind of helps you to see, hey, what might be the best path for me going forward?
for sure. And I think like one benefit of it too is we have certain metrics that the office needs to meet. So you need to be seeing, so many office visits per week. You need to like there's just certain qualifications, because again, if you're a student or you're looking for an associateship and you go into an office, you might not really know how well the office is doing or like what the situation is. And unfortunately, like some chiropractors, and no fault to anyone, like they're not the best business owners. Like
Yeah.
they want an associate, but they might not be ready for an associate.
Right.
Maybe it's like from the financial side or the number side, or they just don't have a plan for them. They just kind of bring them in. And I feel like that's where so many associates are having bad experiences, because either they're not being paid enough or they're not being supported. There's not really a lot of like direction. So when it comes to upper cervical, especially within our Blair Society, we're just trying to cut back on that. So we're trying to
Yeah.
find offices who really are well equipped to support these associates financially, and also, their offices are busy enough to like get them going.
Right, right. So you've done some vetting on the front end to make sure that the offices are prepared to give the proper training, to have the best experience possible. And like you said, that is rarely the case. That's not the rule for sure within chiropractic. Is people, it's, you and I were talking about this before. It's just, if you got to do the pre-work, right? If you are a practice out there, you got to do that pre-work to really define the position. That's such a key piece of it. And then you got to have the onboarding plan, right? Like if you hire somebody, what do you do with them for the first 90 days to get them up to speed, right? And so you guys have already done some of that within this program, it sounds like, and that's such a big piece of having someone have the best possible experience when it comes to this kind of a program.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if someone was interested in this, how would they get, how do they get involved?
So really the best route is I can share my own my personal email address, and I'll also share our Blair Society, for the executive director, her email address. The best way is to just get in touch, especially with Tracy. That way we can get you the application, that you can fill out, whether you want to be, if you're listening and you'd like to be a host office, and you are a seasoned Blair doc and you want to sign up as a host. The first step is just emailing. You can start with me or you can start with Tracy, and then we'll get you the application to either be a host or to be a resident. And then you'll sit. Well, one, we'll actually share the information with you, like all the policies, all the guidelines, and then even like the framework and kind of what to expect. And then we'll send you the application. That way you can get that back to us, and then we can start talking about matching you and all of that.
Cool. Okay. So we can put that in the show notes for the episode. So you want to put Tracy's, what's Tracy's email address?
Yeah, do you want me to put it in this chat with you, or do you want me to just?
You can just say it. Just say it, and then we'll put it in the show notes for this episode. If a doctor wants to click on it and email Tracy directly,
Yes.
she can do that. They can do that.
Yeah. So the best email would be Tracy, TRACI Blair Society @gmail.com.
All right. So traci.blairsociety@gmail.com. That's where you email if you're interested in the Blair Residency program, and you can find out more about it from there. Either if you're a doctor who wants to possibly host residents, or you are interested in the program yourself as a doctor, recent graduate, or student, right?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Also, wanted to ask you, you and I have been working together for a while. You mentioned starting to practice back in 2019 as an associate, and obviously we were working with the former owner at that time, right? She was a client of ours, and then you became a client when you purchased the practice in February 2020. I remember that. Remember those conversations very well, me and you having, and like right after everything went down, right? It was a very interesting time. And so, but yeah, you've been working with UCM now for, yourself and your own ownership of the practice now, like you said, for whatever it's been, 6-7 years, right? And so I'd love for you to just share, what's it been like working with UCM, and for anybody out there that's listening.
Yeah. So it was one great that the office was already using upper cervical marketing, and I saw how well it was working for the previous owner. Like I could see her statistics and how many new patients were coming in, like from the marketing and everything that you guys were doing. So it was a no-brainer for me to continue. And so when I took over the practice, we just kind of, kept the membership going under my ownership, and it's been really great. Like over the years, I loved, not that we've necessarily changed too much, but we have just done some different things, like played around with how much ad spend I'm spending and seeing what the lead results were. And I'd love to just kind of share some numbers, because I have no idea what other offices do, but I remember like we were doing kind of the bare minimum. I think I was spending like $500 a month on ads. And I think you guys were doing Google, Facebook, maybe Instagram, or maybe just the first two at first. And then I was like, I'm kind of like, what would it look like to get more leads, or like what would happen if we just doubled this? Which, in my early years of owning the practice, that was kind of scary to increase how much I was spending, because I wanted to save money and I wanted to make sure I could cover my overhead during COVID. Right. But anyways, we kind of, you guys worked with me and kind of played around with my ad spend, and now we doubled it, and it was kind of wild, like how, just doubling it more than doubled the amount of leads, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, just working with you guys and having someone to do all of my ads, even sending out emails to the email list. One thing we're not great about is sending you guys videos to post, but you guys are great at doing your part on that. I'm not great at doing my part on it. But it is nice when my office and I are on it. Like we do send in doctor videos, or we'll send in patient testimonials, and then you guys make the videos look nice and professional, get it out on our social media, which I love because I don't like doing any of that. And then, yeah, it's honestly been great. Like I feel like every year, also even just talking about the quality of leads. So we've played around, like being in San Diego County, we've even worked with your team on, okay, what zip codes do we want to target potentially? Like where are ideal clients located, and like what zip code are they in? and just doing that. And so I feel like over time we've really refined and got the quality of our leads to be better. I also really appreciate we do like a monthly check-in. I used to do it with Dr. Davis, but good for you for delegating and growing your team so you don't have to do those anymore. Now we meet with Tony Hook and Gabriella every month, and they've been great. Like they're just eager to help us with anything and everything. Like if we need a flyer made, if we want to even just coming up with ideas, like they helped us to come up with the holiday raffle idea the end of this year, which we had never done, made us a beautiful flyer for it. So just like having outside help with some marketing tools has been really beneficial. And yeah, so I've really enjoyed my time with working with you guys. And like I said, but other than utilizing you guys, and my only other marketing thing I do externally is host a provider night every other month in my office. But between utilizing your marketing and doing that, I don't really have to do any other marketing for my practice, which is great because being a mom, like I don't want to go to a bunch of events. I don't
Right.
want to go a bunch of networking things. Just not really the season of life that I'm in right now. I want to go see my patients and then I want to come home to my family. So yeah, you guys have really like set us up for success where I don't have to do a lot of other marketing, which is amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I love that. And, and I've really appreciated, your partnership as we've been working with you and your practice. I mean, our heart is for your practice to grow. Right. And I hope that has come through of all the years of us working together. And it's exciting to be able to see that with you and, being able to see the steady stream of high quality new patients, especially because, we're close to each other. We're both enjoying this beautiful January Southern California weather right now, and
Yeah.
but it's been cool to see your practice be a blessing to this community and be able to impact people in this community, and us be able to see that directly here where I live as well. And so it's awesome to have you here, and it's awesome that we've been able to partner with you for so many years.
Yeah, thank you. And just to mention for people who may not utilize your services yet, I know you guys have an associate placing, which I'm also currently looking into. Like it's really cool to see how your guys' company has grown and now you're trying to help other upper cervical providers, like we talked about, get good quality associates, and find the right fit for offices, which can be a challenge. And so I love that your company can be used as as a tool for that. And I know you guys have a couple other really exciting offerings coming up too that we're working on together. So I'm excited to see how those go. If you want me to touch on that at another point, I will.
Sure. Yeah. We're doing some beta testing on the back end and helping doctors to book leads and things like that as well. Something that is another sticking point because what we're always looking for as a company, right, is we're looking for what is going to help upper cervical practices grow, right? Like that's what we're always looking at. How can we help you grow? How can we help you? And as you mentioned, a major sticking point for a lot of practices is associate recruitment, right? Is getting, like, when you need a doctor in your practice, there's not anything else you can do to grow your practice. Like that, that's it. Like there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so many patients you can see. And, in order to place an associate in a practice it's a must to continue to grow a practice. Right. And so that's a linchpin that we're really working on, and we're investing in it this year more and more and more to get it really dialed in and locked in. I love that you guys are doing your Blair residency program too, because it's all the same heart. And that's why I had you on here for this. Like I don't see anyone else who's trying to do anything that we're trying to do as competitors. I see you all part of the same mission, which is to grow upper cervical chiropractic. Right? Like grow upper cervical chiropractic. Let's grow it. We want more and more of these practices in these communities because there's nothing else better in healthcare, right? Like this is it, right? And so, yes, let's grow it every possible way we can. So, yeah, so we're always looking for ways. How can we get those pain points for doctors to be able to go from where they are to the next stage of growth? How can we, later in this year, we're going to be working on an additional location program as well. So not just associate recruitment, but additional locations. If you've got a great single location practice, you want to go to 2 locations, getting best practices for that for you. So just continuing to look for ways, how can we help upper cervical practices grow? So thank you so much, Dr. Mercedes, for being on the podcast today. Excited about it. And if you're, like I said, if you are interested in the Blair Residency program, make sure you email Tracy and get yourself connected to her. And thank you so much again for being on the podcast, Doc. And as we always say around here, go team upper cervical.
Go team upper cervical. Thank you, Dr. Davis.